Welcome everyone to the Power of Possibilities podcast. It's been a while. I'm so excited to be back on live with Heather, and
Woo!
today, just in time for the holidays, like ease with relationships. I was thinking about something else partially, but it's like just in time for the holidays, if you ask me.
well, you were you about to say ease with entities?
I was, but like in-laws, with or without bodies, they're still entities. So like these tools really
Totally.
can be applied to any entity with or without a body, any relationship, whether it's romantic or not. Like everything outside of you, you have a relationship or creationship with. So like tools to give ease around that, you can apply literally across the board in your experience.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, the access tools are so amazing for everything. And before we started, we were talking about, ease with bodies with these tools. I mean, that's a pretty dynamic relationship to cultivate with these tools. I'm
Yeah,
so
and that's
grateful.
like the numero uno relationship really is between the body and the being. And Cliff Notes version of something recent that happened to me. I ended up in the hospital with like a gallbladder attack, and like the ultrasound like showed gallstones and everything. And like Heather and I were chatting through Messenger, and she's like, "Would you like some contribution?" I'm like, "Yes." Other people were asking for contribution. Then I get MRI, and the gallstones are gone, and there's just goop. So like your relationship between you and your body, and the willingness to receive contribution can change everything. Because here I was thinking I was going to get surgery that day, ended up just getting discharged with a follow-up because like they were like, well, it was there, but it's not, so you don't need surgery. So like really these tools and the processes of access totally work. And it's like, what invitation could you be for yourself to actually start receiving the things that access has to offer? And you can watch the streams, but you can go so much deeper if you like decide to take a class or anything like that. But bare minimum, keep showing up to the streams and receiving what we have to offer you.
Yeah.
Oh, and so many
Yeah.
people saying
What are
hello.
the
We got
infinite
Valerie.
possibilities?
Yeah. Hello,
Hey.
Valerie. Thank you for tuning in. We got Mary Lee tuning in. Blessings. And we have Debbie
Hey.
tuning in as well. And I will be responding to your message. I just have been like, I don't know if you just heard, I've been kind of uh, taking care of myself, but I will be responding to people who have
Mhm.
been sending me messages in the very near future here. So just I need another day or so to get caught up with all the admin stuff. So, Heather, ease with relationships. Where do we start this amazing conversation? I mean, we already started, but where do we go from here?
Well, well, I mean, one thing that, just talking to you, and it certainly comes up every time we're creating something or one of these streams is gratitude. It's ah, like that's just like the thing that just opens the door to possibilities and happiness and joy in any relationship because it's like, wow. I mean, I'm just so grateful for what we're creating and the people that we get to contribute to and reach, and just that alone is like, wow, such an expansive energy.
And I'm sorry for everybody. Like I have two cameras set up and I've been looking at the wrong one. So like it's probably looking like I'm staring off into space instead of like at the audience. So I'm not trying to be rude. I'm just like getting tripped out because there's like more than one camera. But to getting back on point, when it comes to gratitude, it's like what you're focusing on is kind of like what you're telling the universe, you would like to have more
Yeah.
show up. And like how many people are focusing on what they don't have and what they lack in their life versus what they're grateful for, and say, hey, universe, one of our access tools, let me get the banner ready for it. Do I really not have this one ready? Anyway, I'm going to add it. But how does it get any better than this? Is the one I just redid these, and
Oh, it
apparently I missed a very
doesn't.
important. How does it get any better than this? I'm going to make it right now. Because like if you're focusing on what you're grateful for and then ask that question, it's like an invitation for the universe to contribute more to you versus like, oh my gosh, look at all the stuff I don't have. Well, I mean, what is that going to create? And really ask, like, what am I choosing here if you're focusing on what you lack?
Yeah, and I mean, one amazing awareness around gratitude is that you can have gratitude and judgment simultaneously. So if you're like struggling in a relationship with someone or something, if you can get to the space of, well, what am I really grateful for here? What am I really grateful for about this person, about this situation? because you know, some situations it's like, oh wow, this is a possibility to actually change this now. So that's something to be grateful for in anything that, you know, comes up or whatever. So really asking, what can I be grateful for here? And being present with that energy can just be like this incredible balm, this like healing, nurturing energy.
No, that reminds me, I could have just tweaked the mantra when I got sober was self-pity, which sounds a lot like judgment to me, and gratitude cannot coexist. And I was taught to, like, if I was like in a space like, oh, I wish I could do something for this person, but I can't, my sponsor would say, no, you say, I'm
Hmm.
so grateful that I'm in a place of sobriety or in a place of consciousness now that if and when somebody is ready to ask a question to say they're ready for change, that I could be a contribution to them. And like just reworking the funk that you might be in with a statement like that, or better yet, a question that allows you to explore a different possibility. I'm staring at the wrong camera again. Then I should just move it completely off the table. But just asking that question allows you to start stepping into a whole different space where you're willing to receive something different and not just like that well-trodden wagon wheel rut of conformity and reaction and limitation. Let's see.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, again, it's just like you said, asking a question, and access consciousness has so many juicy, amazing questions to not arrive at a conclusion or an answer, but to invite a different possibility in relationships or really anything else. What are some
And
of
oh,
your favorites?
I was about to ask you the same thing. Oh man, no. Well, I think I'm gonna put these four up because like this is something that comes up on our stream, and I added it to the banners. So like it's like when
Yeah.
something shows up and you're like really wow, I don't know what's going on. It's like these four little things that Heather has walked us through so many times that I get to beat her to the punch for once. But it's like, what is this? What can I do with it? Can I change it? If so, how? That's like the little recipe of change. Like whatever's showing up, and you're like, wow, this is really interesting. What's showing up? It's not really what I would choose, right? So you
Yeah.
start asking these questions, and
Mhm.
then you can gain an awareness about what it's really about. And yeah, I think that's good for my favorite, even though that's four. So I kind of cheated. I should have just given you one, right? What
Well,
about
I
you?
mean, I love those 4 questions. Well, I mean, those 4 questions are amazing because they're really getting us out of the conclusion. Like, instead of, you know, anytime we come to an answer or conclusion, we're stuck because we've put on the blinders and we can't actually see what else is available and possible beyond that. So those 4 questions get us out of that, and that's
Ooh,
awesome for relationships of all sorts, um and so they allow us to see beyond these places where we've concluded, well, this is what this thing is. So
yeah.
I love those 4 questions too.
And I just thought of another question. I think I got this from Andrew way back at a class I took from him. So it's been a couple years, but I was kept preparing just as I am today. 1 month from now, a little bit more than a month from now, there is the famous in-law invasion. My in-laws are coming from Germany. COVID only kept them away for so long, so they're going to be coming. So like, there's like this huge relationship dynamic with my in-laws, right? And Andrew during the class, he gave me two things. He gave me one, a manipulation, and I'll say that for a different stream
Mhm,
when it's more relevant. But two, the question was, well, like, what
mhm,
energy could I be to have a different possibility around my dynamic with blank? Fill it in. My in-laws, my
mm.
spouse, my kids, my lover, my whatever. Like asking a question like that, and then getting the energy of that, and then using the access clearance statement. Anything that doesn't allow that, let's pot and pock. That's just the short version. And there's a link in this video description to accessconsciousness.com /clearing statement. There's a link there. You can go and click on it. There's a whole video from Dr. Dain that dives into in more depth the clearing statement. But just there, it's like identifying the energy that you could be and identifying the energy that's stopping that and getting rid of that so you can really step into that new possibility. It's such a dynamic tool offered in access.
I know. I mean, the clearing statement is like, wow, haven't you always wanted to change certain things? And like Hank said, this just gets at that energy of everything that's not allowing that energy that you'd really like to have. That's
Oh,
beautiful.
I was just thinking I had my little graphic, but I don't think I uploaded it here yet. I sent Heather, I made this little superhero graphic for Pod. Oh, here it is. I'm going to upload it and put it on the screen. All right. So pod and poc. Pod stands for point of destruction. Poc stands for point of creation. And here is the little, like, something from a comic book, like, oh, and it's
Boom.
pod and poc, boom, with the little superheroes like flying out. And it's basically going to the places where we have created like whatever's happening that's allowing a limitation to show up or not allowing a possibility to show up, and start to unravel it from the core of whatever it is. Maybe it's pre-verbal when you're a baby or something. The cool thing is you don't have to identify what it is. It's about gaining the awareness of the energy and then using that tool. It's just like, it's literally the magic wand of access. And I love it. Heather brought to her class last time, she had this little magic wand. And sometimes when she would do the clearing statement class, she's like waving it around and like pot and pocking people. It was such a cool little fun way to deliver the clearing statement in a new way.
Well,
You should
and
always
it
have a magic
also,
wand.
is oh, thank you.
Yes.
I just was wondering, do I have it nearby? I don't. I'll bring it for the next stream.
Okay, sounds good. It should always be by the computer at the ready, just in case.
Exactly, because it really does speak to the energy of what I mean, this clearing statement, when I first discovered it, years ago, it was like I started using it with everything because it's so simple. I mean, you can just even say everything that this is and everything that allows this to exist, right, wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds, and just start playing with it and seeing what it changes and what can show up differently as a
Now,
result. It's so much fun.
it is a lot of fun. Now, towards the beginning, the stream, when we first started, I had
Scream.
accidentally almost said like ease with entities. And we actually have a class coming up
Mhm.
that's going to be about entities and relationships. So it's kind of the blending of the two things. When we're talking about ease with relationships and specifically perhaps beings without bodies, like how can we, how do people use these tools for like maybe the unseen world? I know we'll go over a lot in class, but maybe just kind of an idea of what people, how people might be able to use the tools for things that they can't see.
Yeah, I mean, and that question and what we're going to explore in this class is really the relationships that we have with entities can be just as dynamic and it can be just as insane or whatever, however we're creating these relationships with entities as they are with people in bodies. So there's so many facets that we can explore, and like all access and talk to the entities classes, it's really going to be based on the questions and the energy of the people choosing the class, and any entities that they bring along for the ride. So I'm
True.
really excited for where this can go, because it's like, wow, we could really go into so many different areas. But one thing that comes up a lot is, people who have trouble either creating or sustaining relationships. Then we can look at, well, are entities playing a role in that
Ooh, that's a
and
really
change it?
interesting thing. Or for that matter, is it really clashing with the in-laws that occurs when my in-laws visit, or am I clashing with their entities? So like if I start clearing some
Yep.
entities and things, like really, like what, maybe the in-laws love me just fine, but maybe their little person that's following them around has an issue with me. So it's like kind of an interesting point that maybe there's way more beyond relationship dynamics with the body that that you really could be explored more with some of the tools from access. I didn't even think about that till now. I'm going to be really paying attention on this next visit.
Oh, it's so exciting. Yeah, that's why I'm super excited about this topic, because I mean, if you've ever been in a relationship with someone and sometimes they seem like one person and then another times they seem like another person, or if it's really complex, they seem like a lot of different people. Um, or if they say start drinking and then they become a different person, that's where these tools can be really cool. And not only having clarity and ease for yourself, but also being able to change what you can change to have more happiness, more joy, more possibilities.
Yeah. And before I forget, I did post in the comments a link to Emergence of Being. If you go to Emergence of Being, you'll find it in like just the classes. There's a menu and you'll see all the classes, including an upcoming foundation and a body process class with Heather. That's all coming in January. So there's a couple other things out there if you want to take
Foundation.
a look.
Woo!
Yeah. And there's like a video that we made about foundation too that you can
Woo!
watch on the website and get a little bit more information. But make sure to check out the link if you'd like. And I want to mention one thing though, like, well, one, even if you can't make the class live, we had some people take them and like send their questions in advance, and Heather just answered them in the class, and that was
Mhm.
really dynamic, and it still created a lot even for people who couldn't be there. But it's all on Zoom and everything. But my invitation would be to really be the question, like, what question could I ask to receive the most from this class as possible, and then like see what
Yeah.
questions might be inspired. Because on the intro night, just to give an example, I think it was Brian who won. Funny story, you should check out our little stream about talking about the talk to the entities classes afterwards, because I pull all kinds of little pranks on my buddy Brian, but that's for a different time. But he asked some questions in that class that took us so far
That's
down
amazing.
the rabbit hole. It was
Yeah.
like some of the things that I had heard in the advanced talk to the entities class. So like the thing is that any access class, if you have the willingness and the vulnerability to ask the question, like the facilitator has like this huge landscape of consciousness in which they can lead you, but it all comes from the willingness to be and ask the question. And if you can be that, like any of these classes, you can get so much out of it. And we have Mike tuning in saying hello, thank you for tuning in. I see a lot of people watching, but not everybody's
Hey.
talking. But anyway, and we also had Valerie, she commented back when we were talking about gratitude, that gratitude is the highest vibration.
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
know. Is there a hierarchy of vibrations? I don't know. They're all
No,
pretty
it's
cool.
it's a
But
beautiful
gratitude
thing for
is one
sure.
of my favorites, I'll say for sure. Absolutely. Let's see. What Whoa, I just had the question and I forgot what it was going to be. So I lost it. Is there anything coming to mind that we haven't talked about yet that seems really relevant? Or anybody who's watching, if you have a question, like we can put it up on screen and we can kind of take a deep dive with it.
Yeah, we've
Um,
got 3 whole minutes to
yeah.
have
Well,
ease with relationships.
well,
Well, I
let
mean,
me
what
touch
would
on
be your,
this. Oh,
like, top. Yeah, go for it.
well, I was going to go here with it because this kind of leads into the other thing that Andrew gave me for my in-laws, manipulation. So, like, manipulation isn't a bad word. It's like the skillful handling of an energy, or maybe Access has a different definition. But what I had brought up in the
Well,
class that I was
some
having,
people hear that word. Some people hear that word and they're like, "Ooh."
right?
But in
But
Access consciousness, we look at it in terms of creating a greater possibility.
right. So in class, I had shared with him kind of the dynamic going on, and he's like, "Well, go and like say this to them," and I did, and like everything changed after this. It's like, thank you so much for allowing your daughter to come and live here with me in the States and marry me, because like from their perspective, I stole their baby girl. And so his awareness was, and he facilitated me through it, like, hey, I just like took their daughter, and like from former East Germany, like nobody's left the city, like everybody still like lives within a couple blocks of each other, like they're that close. And here I come in swooping her, taking over across the pond to a different country. And so there's always been this tension, and the manipulation was, thank you so much for allowing me to take your daughter and move with her here to the States, right? And as soon as like that one little piece was acknowledged, everything shifted, and he called it a manipulation in class. So like, what's the role potentially of manipulation with relationships, and how much potency could that add to the ease that you might experience with somebody?
Yeah, I mean, this is a topic that's so much fun to explore in the foundation class because people even see that title in there and it brings up all these judgments. And, but what if, we could go beyond that and really look at, instead of manipulation with all the charge on it, what can I be or do or say in this situation that would generate and create a greater possibility?
Ooh, I love that question. I'm glad this is recorded because I can go back and read that again and write it down. That is such a great question. And we do have we had Gail coming in just saying hello, and Ernie saying
Hey,
ho
Gail.
ho for the holiday spirit. And hi, you guys are great. Thank you so much. I'm really glad everybody is showing up and enjoying this amazing access tools. It's really a lot of fun. I'm so excited about all these classes coming up. I can't
Yeah.
even tell you. And always for anything coming up access related, especially with Heather, I will always have it on the emergencybeing.com/possibility. So you can always check that one page out for a list of everything that is coming up, because we have the entities and relationships class, the foundation class, a body process class called restoration and communion with the earth, I believe it is. And that's all coming up just in one
Yeah.
week. And then in January, the weekend after Martin Luther King Jr. Day. So that's all coming up in the very near future. Cool. Well, that brought us right up to the 20 minutes. How does it get any better than that?
How does it get any better?
Well, we're going to find out next week on the call with the amazing entities and relationships. And if you don't think you can talk to entities, guess what? Everybody who has a body, they're an entity too. So even if you don't feel you have the capacity to talk to entities, you do. With or without a body, it's all entities. And Heather, I won't say the name of the student, but then we had one student that's been replaying the Talk to the Entity thing over and over again. And now all of a sudden they're waking up in the middle of the night, getting downloads and having to write stuff down. So like with all the tools, stay the course,
Cool.
use them, and eventually there is shifts. Sometimes it can be instant. Sometimes it takes a little time, but the only thing that is really the variation is you and your willingness to receive. So like, what are you really willing to receive from the tools of access consciousness today? Anyway,
Yeah.
I'm really excited.
Yeah. And
I'm
what
like
else is
bursting the
possible you've
seams.
never considered?
Cool.
Yes.
And until we
Yes.
will be
Yes.
on
Come to
again.
Cleveland in January.
Yeah, and I'll post a link afterwards too. But thank you all so much for tuning in. We will catch you
Yeah.
next time. And thank you so much. Stay aware and please subscribe and help spread the contagion of consciousness by sharing this video. Be the invitation. Don't just share it. Be the invitation for others to watch it. And I'm so sorry. I'm catching myself watching the camera again, the other wrong one. But anyway, we'll see you. That's like the trending joke. Like, here's the camera, but Hank keeps staring over here where there's another camera that looks just like this camera, forgetting
Camera
which one's
one,
on.
camera two.
Right. Wasn't that in Wayne's World? Camera one, camera two, camera one.
Yeah.
Anyhow, we have way too much fun if you can't tell. But thank you so much. Please join the fun, and we will catch you next time. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody.